viewers. Welcome to NFA Post TV interview with Mr. B.V. Naidu, who is the chairman of KDEM. That is a initiative from Government of Karnataka to take IT industry beyond Karnataka, means Bangalore. So we will have a discussion on what all the things KDEM did till now and going forward, what all its game plan. He will give us an overview of his vision on this very project. So welcome, sir. Please give us an overview of KDEM's initiative, how you are planning to take IT industry from Bangalore to other tier 2, tier 3 cities in Karnataka. What all things that you have done till now? Please give us an overview.
You know, Karnataka Digital Economy Mission has a long-term plan which is set up by the Government of Karnataka in association with the industry. The reason being the IT industry itself has grown phenomenally large, Currently, whatever the government internal bandwidth is there, that is not sufficient. So that is the reason the KDEM was created, so that KDEM will have a corporate executive team which will be helping and supporting the Government of Karnataka in all the policy implementations. So it is like a bridge between the industry and the government to make the policy implementation is more effective and in accelerated manner. That's a prime objective. And KDEM, so the KDEM, as I told you, that it is enhance the execution strength of the Government of Karnataka. Last 8-9 months, KDEM has done phenomenally well with the support of more than 26, 28 industry anchors who came and worked along with the KDEM to make some of the activities which we initiated on a Beyond Bangalore cluster. For example, KDEM has 5 objectives, or the 5 verticals where we are focusing our activities. The one, of course, is how do you make sure that the IT industries and GCCs will continue to grow so that Karnataka will sustain its 35 to 40% share in the India. That is number one. So for that, there is one special group that has been created which will be working along with the NASSCOM and the Government of Karnataka to make sure that the GCCs will grow in Karnataka in general, beyond Bangalore in particular. Number 2, electronic systems design and manufacturing, which is also strategically very, very important, which will balance both the electronics design industry as well as on the manufacturing industry. Probably the Karnataka is only the state which has a very balanced growth that happened in the electronics, both in the design and the electronics, hardware manufacturing, etc. In particularly Mysore, even though not many people know, Mysore is which is having a large electronics base in terms of the electronics manufacturing industry, PCB manufacturing, as well as the design industry, So that way, you don't find any other city of that kind anywhere in the country. And Mysore also has this ESDM cluster testing facility, which is nowhere else in the country it is there. It's Lahari ESDM cluster, right? So there is a group of people working in KDEM just focusing on the ESDM growth in Karnataka and also how to attract the new investments into Karnataka. And that executive team works in association with the IESA and the Government of Karnataka. Likewise, we also have a group in startup and innovation. And the objective of this group is to make sure that the Karnataka would continue to be the leader in the startup. And Karnataka is one state which has a wonderful policies for the startups and innovation. And it will work, this executive group works along with the Startup Vision Group headed by Prashant Prakash, and make sure that, all the startup innovation activities of the government of Karnataka are well implemented, So that is the third group. And the fourth group is the Beyond Bangalore. And Beyond Bangalore, we talked about the GCCs, we talked about the electronics, ESDM, and we talked about the startups and innovation. But one of the prime objective of the Karnataka is we took this as a mission. How can you make sure that, Beyond Bangalore would grow? Not just Bangalore, Beyond Bangalore should grow. And this is a very, very specialized group within the Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, which will be working along with all other three groups and make sure that there is a balanced growth that happens in all the three clusters like the Mysore, Mangalore, and Hubli and Belgaum. And the reason is, in spite of 40% contribution from Karnataka, still these three clusters does not contribute even 2% of the Karnataka's software exports. We wanted to make sure that all the Beyond Bangalore clusters would reach at least a $5 billion by 2026 and $10 billion by 2030, with an direct employment of 500,000 tech jobs in these three clusters by 2026 and 10 lakh jobs by 2030. That's the objective, and this Beyond Bangalore is been very, very effective last few months. What we did, we have a cluster level advisory groups in all the three clusters, and we gone ahead and set up the KDEM offices in all the three clusters. Then, automatically the focus would come. Number two, whichever is the investor, whichever the new companies wanted to look at Karnataka, we are telling them, hold on, not just Bangalore itself, you have a Beyond Bangalore that is available to you. So we are taking them, showcasing the skills that are available in Mysore, Mangalore, and Hubli, and trying to attract. The other thing what we also did is we are given a flavor in the sense, one specialized activity for each of the city, where we are setting up of an innovation hubs. For example, Mysore, we are creating an innovation hub on the cybersecurity, so that, Mysore being a city of various, it will grow as we wanted the Mysore to grow as produce the white hat hackers who will protect the future cyber wars of the for the country. Number two, in Mangalore, as all of you know, Mangalore is the cradle of the banking industry. It has a history, it has a tradition. So we wanted to take that advantage of that, So we are, focusing on the fintech hub. That means all the back office operations of all the fintech companies and the startups that are happening in the country, they can happen from Mangalore, right? And industry also well responded. We set up a fintech task group headed by Harshal Mathur of Razorpay, and he along with his other members, they are creating a plan how to make sure that the Karnataka will lead as a fintech hub of the world. Not just that, and the Mangalore would act like a back office. The third is, flavor for Hubli and Mangalore. Hubli is what do you call this? Edutech and agritech. Hubli has a huge background thanks to Deshpande Foundation. A lot of work has been done. KDEM is working with the Deshpande Foundation to make sure few other new companies would come. So that is started happening. So put together, we have seen quite an early success in all the places. The companies like IBM, has announced that they are growing into Mysore. Razorpay and a few other fintech companies are looking at Bangalore, and then the few of the AI MNCs are come to Hubli. That way, the overall industry started looking at the Beyond Bangalore clusters. We are very, very happy about that. And the third thing, what we also done in all these Beyond Bangalore cluster is we started doing the branding for those places. Because most of the time, take any event, those events are happening only in Bangalore. We said that no, Bangalore is sufficient. We need to give an opportunity for these places. So we are doing a lot of, we did a lot of pre-BTS events there, and all those events have been very successful. And we're also given a calendar of events primarily to increase the branding for those clusters so that industry would start looking at. What we are also telling these GCCs is, GCCs come to Bangalore as an offshore strategy for the multinational companies in US and Europe and other parts of the world. Now we are telling you came to in Bangalore as an offshore strategy. Now we wanted you to look at a spokeshore strategy and grow to these clusters. So that the hub would remain in Bangalore, the spokes can come in all these clusters. That strategy is also working well, and companies are responding very well in that. Now, when all these things, what is very important for this growth to sustain is the talent.
Okay.
So we have one focused vertical within the KDEM on the focusing on the talent. So that talent works again in association with the Government of Karnataka and other industry associations, make sure that the talent is available in all the clusters, and also skilling. See, there are many direct jobs are coming, but we also need to create a skilling in the new age jobs. So we intend to create a 30 lakh new jobs across the state. Put together, KDEM has a great mission to focus, and it will script the future for the next decade of the growth in Karnataka. And KDEM with all its executive team, the CEO, they're all geared up for that.
Okay. So you have set your vision very perfectly fine. So now there is a requirement for industry academic connect to establish. How KDEM is envisioning to take it forward so that your vision can be materialized within a limited period, within a time period, and with a solid.
So what we did in all the three clusters is that, we associated with the academic community that is available in those clusters. Future digital jobs as a very focused event, so that the people who are coming out of these academic institutions are directly connected to the industry. And I'm happy to say that more than 3,000 to 4,000 people last a few months, as KDEM has supported them to connect those students to the corporates through the program Future Digital Jobs. That has been effective. The second thing is when we talk about these innovation hubs, what we're creating in all the places, for example, in Hubli, KLE is part of the plans, whatever we do there. Likewise, in Mysore, the academic institutions like the NIE and JSS. In Mangalore, we have a few of the educational institutions involved, and so that they are the people who would be, working along with this KDEM mission of creating the talent for the future growth of the Karnataka. That way, I think there is a perfect synergy. Industry, the government, and the academic institutions coming together to do this.
So KDEM has a larger mandate in building the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Karnataka also. At the same time, we have to factor in the new age, new era which Web 3, then 5G, then blockchain, metaverse, and deep tech. All these things are making a lot of disruption. So the point is that we should be globally competitive and our entrepreneurs should have that capability. And how KDEM is envisioning so that our entrepreneurs will have that kind of a broader vision this is the appropriate time so that 5G disruption, AI, ML, all the things, they can have a greater say. And Karnataka will be the forefront of this journey globally, placing India at the forefront. What is the strategy? What you envision so that KDEM can play a bigger mandate in these specific areas?
Yeah, I think the KDEM through its startup and innovation group is doing 3 levels of intervention with this, the industry for its growth. Number one, KDEM is coordinating all the Center of Excellence activities that are supported by the Government of Karnataka. That is the COEs are, we believe, could seed the innovation. So that is one level of intervention. Number two, Karnataka has a very successful Elevate program, So when the Elevate program is, we are doing this now, selecting the next Elevate, the winners, the process is going on. KDEM is working very closely with the Government of Karnataka to make sure that the Elevate activities are properly, implemented, And number three, we are also recommended the government to create a sectors specific or the cluster specific small venture funds. The idea is, till now, when we talk about the startup, again, we talk only from the Bangalore. But what we notice there is that the startups coming out of these clusters are equally competitive and has their disruptive technologies with them.
Absolutely.
How do we showcase those startups? So we created what is called startup grid, connecting all the startup ecosystem in these clusters and connecting into Mysore and Bangalore ecosystem. That way, even the startup that is sitting in Hubli or sitting in Mysore and sitting in Bangalore, they feel they are as good as any other startup that is there in Bangalore, right? So that is next is, there are some industry anchors who are willing to support those startups, betting on these startups. So those industry anchors coming forward and saying that if the government can create a very focused venture fund in these clusters, we will come and contribute. Likewise, we are doing that also. So I think all these 3 levels of intervention will greatly help. And, again, Prashant Prakash is driving the startup vision group, and that vision group, the KDEM is supplementing and supporting the vision group to do some of the activities on the ground.
Israel has a Tel Aviv as its epicenter, where a lot of what called innovations are happening with Fortune 500 companies. Bangalore is also a hub of a lot of Fortune 500 companies. But still, many of the frontier tech research activities, what is happening in Tel Aviv is not happening in Bangalore. We want KDEM to play a pivotal role in bringing and making aware of the leadership of this company. For example, NVIDIA, Intel, lot of frontier companies are here. They have what called a research R&D center here. They should co-create things along with the local ecosystem. How KDEM will take up this kind of a mission? Because we have already formed an innovation authority under Karnataka government. Same way in Israel, they have innovation authority. KDEM, what is a roadmap that you have so that globally we will be competitive?
I think, any relationship between Israel and Bangalore is of very, very important, because as you rightly said, I always tell this to the people in Israel, you have innovation capability and we have a markets and an execution capability. Till now, your innovation is taken by the American companies, and then American companies are accessing our markets through your innovation. So now the time has come to build a direct relationship between the innovation in Israel, the markets in India. That's where we wanted to focus next few years in building that relationship. As a first step, what we did is we are discussing with the Hebrew University
Okay, sir.
to do what is called an innovation management program, a short-term management program, exposing our first level, all our COEs, the leaders of Center of Excellences who are working this ecosystem. We are bringing them and exposing them to this innovation management program. And maybe the next level, we do the similar program along with VTU and IIIT so that our startups can go through that program. So that first level, that can help in addressing or understanding how the innovation is managed in Israel. That is a great learning for our ecosystem. The second level, probably we wanted to further study and engage with the government of Israel. And earlier we have an MOU, Government of Karnataka and Israeli Innovation Authority has an MOU to do a joint R&D programs. However, that is the program needs to be accelerated. So the second step, I think, what KDEM is planning is to discuss with those the government organizations and make sure that there is a direct engagement happens between Israel and India, particularly Karnataka. And the third level, we are also planning to do an innovation tour to Israel with a few of the industry leaders and the government leaders, go together and interact with the leaders there, be it a venture community or the R&D institutions or the government. These are the three stakeholders we want to interact and do this innovation tour to Israel. So there is a three-level intervention, or we did three-level interaction we planned with the Israeli innovation ecosystem.
Thanks, sir, for sharing your larger vision of KDEM. Hope under your leadership, we want Karnataka to perform better. Going forward, what you set by 2020-25 and 2020-30, like that, things should happen. Namaste.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.